Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast where we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I'm Shanae Howard, and with me is Tommy Shelby
Hello.
and Ryan Robinson.
Hi, it's me. Hi.
Hey guys,
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Do y'all have any New Year's resolutions, like video game related or not?
No, not really.
Every year I make the resolution not to have my dick fall off in public. And so far I fulfilled it every year.
Fall off or fall out? Like
Fall off.
Yeah, but not out.
Yeah. Cuz I mean if it falls off it's falling out too cuz it's probably going to come down to my pant leg or something. So,
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, good luck on that.
thank you.
Actually, I do have one this year. I am gonna try and play less like mobile games and like when I do play Switch games, less in handheld mode. Because this year I've been doing a lot of like playing Switch while watching stuff on my TV and then just kind of like hunkering down. And I'm gonna try and like in general utilize like my house and my space more. But specifically, since I play games pretty regularly, that's one of the things I'm gonna try and do.
Well,
And yeah,
You might as well
Sounds like-
maximize that space
I
you're
don't
paying for.
understand.
yeah.
I don't understand what you mean. Like
So
you don't want to play in handheld mode because you have a living room?
well, so I just kind of end up like just focusing on the like I do it to like kind of multitask, which
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
why
yeah.
I don't want to like focus on one thing besides
Right.
like ADHD. But yeah, so I just so I don't like kind of curl up in a shell. Like I normally have worse posture when I play my Switch in handheld mode than if I have a controller. I don't know what it is, but like I just like I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna just sink into the screen. I'll
Yeah.
see y'all when I like burrow out of my nest like for the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to like I said, just like not just be in a shell in the corner of my couch, but actually like use like my big TV and like more space of it.
So like one of the reasons that I got Steam Deck was so like I'd spend more time off of my computer and like in the common space with
Mhm.
the other people in this house, you know?
Has it been
But-
successful?
I mean, yeah, I definitely spend more time on the couch than I was before, which I guess that could be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. But like, I mean, am I completely present? No, but am I more present than I used to be? Yeah,
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, so there, it's working.
yeah, but that's not really like a New Year's thing. It's something I was already doing. Like, it's like I've cut back a lot on my cigarettes, but like that wasn't a New Year's thing either. It just happened to be towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's something that's been on my mind for a while, anyways. But I'm just like, it's that time of the year. Just turn it into that. But I've already been working on it beforehand.
Sure.
But yeah. What have y'all been playing? Or what
I
have you
haven't been playing a lot, really. I've downloaded the third Nickelodeon kart racer game because I really had a lot of fun with that second one. I downloaded the third one. It's more of the same. I'm enjoying it. I'm sure I'll finish it and then never play it again, just like the second one. But like while I'm playing it, it's great. So there's that. And they got Oblina in there now. So they didn't have her before, so that was
nice.
Does
Is
each,
that
of
who
the-
the main-
does each
main
of the
one is?
Nicktoons have their own car?
cool. There are different cars from different things, but any driver can use any vehicle.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good fun. And then I've been playing more Spelunky, just trying to get better at Spelunky, which is like a never-ending thing.
First one?
Yeah, I have Spelunky too, but like I've not mastered Spelunky, so I may as
Yeah.
well play that one first.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time with the first Spelunky. I'm just not very good at it, but I enjoy it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've given Spelunky an afternoon of my time, and I quickly realized that I am not a spelunker.
Yeah.
And I perhaps will never be. But it is a funny game to watch. I have a friend who he used to stream Spelunky 2 pretty regularly, and it was really fun to watch him go through it.
Yeah.
But that being said, I was like, I could never wrap my head around.
I'm not a huge like roguelike person, you know? And it is a roguelike. That said, I think it's like there's more depth to Spelunky than 95% of the ones that have come out over the last few years, you know?
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. I am not good at it though. So
Well, you'll get there. I have faith in you, dude.
I'm sure I'll beat like the regular ending at some point, but like the hell run or whatever it is, like, I don't think I'll ever do that.
No, we're good on that.
Yeah.
So I actually got PS Plus because I have decided that I am done with Arceus. I didn't actually catch Arceus, but like the fight was just basically like the same fights I've been doing, and I wasn't having fun with it. And I was like, I caught all of them but this one. I'm calling it done. I'm calling it even. So I've been playing a lot of God of War. I got PS Plus because I was looking at all the sales, and there's quite a few of them that were like included with it. And I was like, I should just get it again.
Which tier did you get?
I don't know, whatever was on like sale.
Because there's like 3 tiers to PlayStation Plus now.
Yeah.
Like, can you download the PlayStation 1 games?
Yes.
Then you got the most expensive one.
You got the big one. You got the $100-something a year one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I just did like 3 months of it for like $40-something bucks.
Sure.
That's more sensible than what I did. Which was sign up for it and then forget about it and then freaked out when I see $100-something transaction in the bank account.
Yes. No. I have a couple other annual subscriptions that also the same thing. I always forget about them when they hit. I'm like, I know I did this, but no one told me about this.
Yeah, that's like Amazon for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
What's funny was my first instinct was to question Kaylee about it. Because I know I didn't do it, but I totally did do it.
But yeah. So and so I hooked up since I got it, I was downloading a bunch of games. So I hooked up, I hardwired my PS5, and oh man, like I downloaded like 6 games, and like 3 of them had like massive DLC packages. One of those Final Fantasy Royals that had 21 like DLC things to also do.
Yeah.
It took like an hour for all of it. I was like,
what is that? Final Fantasy Royal? What is that?
That's
Final Fantasy 15 Royal. It's like
yeah. Gotcha.
For kingly boys only.
Well, I still haven't but yeah, so I got that and get this the Sony Spider-Man, the Miles Morales one.
Yeah.
The Jedi Fallen Order was not a part of the PS Plus, but I got that too because it was on sale for $8. And yeah,
funny is they gave that away like a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I've just been playing God of War. I can see why other people would say now that statement about it feeling more like a movie that you can just kind of play.
Yeah.
And I think that they could have really like not given that much of a feeling if they pulled some like old Game of Thrones, God of War like tricks. Like there's not really that many quick time events. Not that there was ever like a whole bunch of them, but there was way more and more than just
old ones. There was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like bringing those more into certain actions would like help a lot. Because there is like the action cutscenes where you're doing something cool, and there's the cutscenes of telling the story, and they definitely lean more heavy into the story. Like I'm enjoying it, I like it, but if you are not going and like trying to find all the extra chests and like just cruising around, seeing what else there is to do. Like you're
Right.
hitting like cutscene after cutscene pretty frequently.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, I get the criticism now, but I still like not bothered by it.
Yeah, the people I heard saying that weren't even like saying it as a criticism, Like I like movies, like it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's almost like with Scorn, right? Like Scorn came out and people were pissed that it wasn't a first person shooter. Like it's in first person, you do shoot, but like that's a puzzle game,
Yeah.
But like they never advertised it as like some fucking boomer shooter. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I think that was one of those because everybody was just talking about the weapons all the time,
Right.
and so people were like, "That must be a shooter" because of how much press coverage the weapons are getting because they're weird looking.
Right.
But
So one thing I really like that they are doing more in this game than they did in the last game is they're talking about like more of Kratos' past and like things that he did. And there's like because in the first game, like whenever you're like exploring around like in the boat or something, like you and Atreus would talk, but it was mainly like stories, like fables, like things that Atreus feels, things about the mom, but it wasn't really things like about Kratos. And
Right.
now, like I've been traveling around with this character Freya, and she's like, "Hey, like tell me about some of the adversaries that like you faced." And he's talking about like gorgons and things like that. And like the head that you have on your belt that talks, his name is Mimir, and he'll ask questions too, like, "Hey, like I heard this about your home country," and like he'll
Yeah.
say something and he'll correct him. So, like, yeah, it's just really nice that they're incorporating more of like actual like Kratos' history into it than the first one.
Even PlayStation All Stars, like they bring that up. They reference that game, which is very funny.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What have you been playing the most of this past week?
so, I finished. I don't remember if this was last week or this week. I can't remember. I did finish Gungrave.
Nice.
And you know, I is it weird to have had fun playing through a game and then immediately uninstall it because you're never gonna play it again?
Not at all.
No.
I don't think
Weird.
that's weird.
Okay,
No.
No,
because that's what I
There's
did.
I got so many one and dones, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed my
That's
time with
most
you.
games for me.
Yeah.
Well, also it's just because like it's not going to be as fun the next time you play it. So
Yeah.
like, and also if you've done everything that you wanted to in the game, yeah, you feel good about where you left off. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was one of those games, right, where like it was a good time going through it. It definitely has its flaws, but like overall it's a really fun game. But like as soon as I was finished with it, I was already like, you know what? I'm good on this. And I just immediately
Yeah.
uninstalled it. I will probably never play it again. But
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
By the way,
yeah, so
having not put hands on the game, just like watching gameplay of it,
yeah.
like yeah,
Like there isn't like outside of like tackling the higher difficulties and being if you're someone who like really wants trophies, I guess there's reason to go back to it. But I didn't care enough about doing either of those things with that game, so I was just like, I'm good. I'm good with that. I also rediscovered my love for Dragon's Dogma this week. Um, that game is goofy and janky, but it's so fun, and I just love that game. It's just so like I don't know, like the like just the moment to moment gameplay of that game is just so fun because like it's mostly because of the pawns and like their endless rambling like at any given moment. Um, I had a moment last night where we had to go down into this dungeon. Like me and like three pawns like went down into this dungeon, and then like this unbeatable monster popped up. So I immediately booked it, and like one of the pawns fell behind, and they were like, they were yelling at me to like help them, and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep running, and like the whole time I could hear them begging for help, but they're expendable, so it's whatever. But Yeah, that game is so much fun. I'm excited that they're doing another one because this is just it's just like it's a fun game that like has for me has aged really well because like that game's like 10 years old now, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And it reminded me of like so that was one of the games that Tommy gave me like around like 2012. And I remember also it also like reminded me of something really nice was one time in like 2012 2013. Me and Tommy went to a GameStop and he was like, I got my tax return today. I'm gonna buy you something. He bought me Skylanders Switch Force. And
I forgot all about that.
yeah, and like
Skylanders.
yeah, it was really it was so like I was like so excited. And that was such a nice thing that Tommy did for me that one time. So playing Dragon's Dogma reminds me of that because that's also another game that he gave me. But I also played.
I remind you of my shitty fucking pawn for the 360 version.
So that's the thing too, right? Is like I wish that I really wish that like there was a way to bring that gen's pawns forward because I
Yeah.
would love to see Tommy's worthless pawn like show up.
I mean, I can make them again.
Yeah, but it won't be the same, you know. It's not the same. But
I can almost guarantee you it'll be the same.
because it was, I guess it was because like the biggest problem with your pawn was that he was not leveled up at all,
Yeah.
because like you made him and then quickly abandoned him, and
Yeah.
so like he was not prepared for any adventure of any kind. But also I played Dying Light 2 again for the first time in a while, and they just happen to be in the middle of a Christmas event for that game. And so basically all the zombies are dressed up in Christmas attire, and some of them are just like Christmas elves and whatnot. And when you kill them, you get candy, and you take the candy to some weird Santa Claus feller because he's gonna give it to the children, and then he gives you a present in return, and it's usually filled with like some kind of gear or weapon or something.
And you like this or you don't like this?
I like it. I have a thing for like seasonal events like that
Yeah.
that like involve me like doing something to like gather a resource to like turn in. There's something about that loop that's always been really appealing to me. But it's kind of weird, right? Because I'm coming to it like at the tail end of it. So obviously I'm not going to be able to do all the things in that event because
Yeah.
like, it's almost over. But it's neat. It's also something that I haven't really seen a lot of, which is like people doing events of that, like seasonal events of that kind, and what is
Mhm.
a primarily single player game.
Dude, okay, so it's funny you say that. Like, I usually don't care for that kind of stuff unless it's a game I'm really into, right? Like when
Yeah.
we were playing Killing Floor, like I liked all that Krampus crap.
Yeah.
But like I booted up for the first time in probably 5 years Cave Story,
Yeah.
like the week of Christmas. And there's just like the quote is just like his sprite is just swapped with one with a Santa hat. You know?
That's cute.
And there's no multiplayer for that game.
Sure.
And that game is fucking old as shit now. What they came
Yeah.
kind of like 2004 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's neat to like check into a game after a while, like, oh, that's a new different thing. And apparently like they update it with like that game has like I don't want to say seasons, but they break it up into something called chapters, which I guess
Yeah.
is kind of like seasons in most other games.
I mean, that's what Fortnite does, right? Chapters.
Yeah, but Fortnite's also like a primarily multiplayer game, so like it's like a little different there because like a lot of that stuff is like
Sure.
unlocking cosmetics and whatnot. But yeah, but like it's like new content that they're injecting into the game, and it seems like they're like the game hasn't been out for that long. It's been out for like a year or so, but like I'm wondering if it seemed like they plan on supporting it about as long as they've been supporting Dying Light 1, which was
I mean, the following came out well after the launch of the first one,
so
you know?
that game had like a long like they're still putting out content for it too, so
Yeah.
and one of the other two games that I played was a game called One Chanbara. You know that game?
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
I
Oni
was, looking,
Timbara.
Yeah.
I was looking at it on PS Plus.
I'm getting a lot of fucking judgy like remarks from my wife about playing that game, and I'll just say
Because
that
titties.
so
You spending a lot of time with the character customization, Ryan?
I didn't know that there was that, but now I know. And
Wait, so what you're thinking is gameplay is actually just the character customization?
Is it a new game? Because Oni Timbara, like that's an old game.
So this specific game, because this one's called Onechanbara Origin.
Okay.
So it came out about 2 years ago.
It's a prequel, so you can really get into the story of that
Sure.
series.
Yeah. And well, so the moment I loaded up the game, the first thing that my wife sees is this lady in a swimsuit and high heel boots. But like I was like,
that's the game.
I mean, that's
no, it's kind of fun.
So here's the thing: is that like whenever with these type of games, like whenever people say things about the game in that way, I kind of just have to let it go because I don't want to be the guy who's like, no, it's really more than that. Because like then that's like I read Playboy for the articles energy, and so I just leave it alone. But it is a fun game.
So is there no defense you can make for gameplay then?
No, the gameplay.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't.
What I'm saying is like what you're saying is like basically nothing you say can validate you playing that game.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
yes, one thing he can say can validate titties.
Okay, no, that's not what I'm saying. Is that like I don't feel the need to defend the game to other people because I'm playing it and I'm having a generally good time. The game is kind of hard though. Like it's like it seems button mashy on the surface, but like they have this whole thing where like you got to time your attacks in a way that takes it from a combo to a cool combo. And the cool combo does more damage. And the cool combo gets you more points and money at the end of the level. And sometimes the cool combo is the only way to damage certain guys. It's rough. But so far it's pretty fun. Then what also happened was like because I downloaded that game, PlayStation is showing me a lot of anime titty games. And
you're playing all of them. It's your new favorite genre.
Well, some of them, it's funny because like, some of them are just like, okay, so I saw this one that was just a puzzle game of some sort. No, it was a shoot 'em up.
Catherine.
It was a shoot 'em up of some kind. I don't remember the name. Shoot 'em up of some kind. And on the left hand side, there's an anime girl with some sort of gun, right? On the other side, there's an anime girl with tentacles all over her. And then you beat the level, and then the tentacles come off, and you see her body. So that's the kind of game that PlayStation wants me to play now. So
because
you're here for it.
Yeah, because I bought in. So I bought into it. So
it's like, hey, we know you would want this. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go, champ.
PlayStation doesn't know that I'm a pervert. I mean, I guess
they do now.
I guess now they do. But
no.
But no, the game is decent. It's not as fun as like a lot of other like. I guess is this like a character action game? I don't know. I don't really know.
No, I would just call it an action game, man.
It's an action game.
I would say it's a Japanese anime titty game.
But
hack and slash. You know, like yeah, it's not.
The
like character action implies some depth, and Onechanbara, at least previous entries, have lacked that sorely.
The reason that she's in the bikini is so that the monster blood can get on her, because when the monster blood gets on her skin, it turns her into a berserker mode. That's why she wears the bikini. I'm tired of having to explain this.
It's so she can do her berserker barrage.
Yeah.
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 With her adamantium claws.
Yeah. But like, so there's like DLC for the game where they have her with they can get outfits for her where she has more clothes on. So
yeah.
Boo.
Yeah,
boo. You gotta pay for that?
Yeah, you got. They want you to pay like $2 or $3 to put more clothes on the lady.
Sure.
What are you doing?
If you really enjoy modesty, do we have the DLC for you?
Yeah. They seem to like have that. Like you can pay to put more clothes on her. Pay to send her to school. Yeah.
Pay to give her a father figure.
Yeah.
The nice guy upgrade. But then I checked out Jedi Fallen Order, and so far I'm lukewarm on it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. Like I can't like
You don't want to be a Jedi. I get it.
I don't. It's
You don't like
I think
Star
it's-
Wars.
I
You don't
think
want you don't want to own a lightsaber. Like it's fine.
Well, you've never been big on like Metroidvania type games, right?
It's not even that, honestly. I think I just don't like the guy. The main guy. I don't think I like him.
Cal Kestis,
Yeah, I don't think I like Cal. I don't think I like Calvin very much.
just because.
Calvin.
It's not just because I think there's like his fucking vibe. He looks like
His vibe's off.
he looks like
Like, why doesn't he take off some of his clothes? You know, then you'd like.
You pay
So,
$2-3
is
more
there
for
a
that. It's in the
patch?
DLC.
Is there a patch for? Is there like a DLC for Jedi Fallen Order where I can make him take like more of that stuff off?
Yeah, sure.
Because he
It
started. The
is
game,
now.
He started the game wearing that poncho thing, right? I'm at a part where he's no longer wearing that poncho thing, so there's more. You can see more of him, but I want to see more of him. You know
It's
what I
the
mean?
lack of bikini.
Yeah.
You're now accustomed
Like I've just
to a
fucking.
certain state of dress for
It's
your
like-
main character.
It's like
for
a-
your avatar.
It's awakened something in me.
They must all be nude.
Yeah. So,
Sure.
Yeah, Sony knows.
Yeah.
So hey, this week we didn't want to talk about nakedness. Tom wanted to talk about. Well, I actually wanted some clarity. I should have texted this. So is it like
Uh-oh.
where the games actually share a universe,
Yeah.
or just where the creators imply that they share the same universe? Because there's a lot of like implication between like LA Noire and like Red Dead Redemption, but it's
I
not
mean,
like
It can
up
go
in the
either way,
air.
right? We can go down all those paths. The reason I wanted to bring it up is I've been playing Black Mesa. Black Mesa is a remake of the first Half-Life. And that got me thinking about, like, like Valve's shared universe, right? Like, clearly Half-Life and Portal take place in the same universe.
yes.
But there's speculation that, like, Team Fortress is in there or that Left 4 Dead is in there. And I just like that sort of thing. And it got me thinking about other franchises that do that sort of thing.
I got a question. Do you think that the speculation from Team Fortress being in there because Team Fortress started off as a Half-Life mod?
I don't know. I
Maybe.
have no idea. I mean, I haven't read the reasoning behind it,
Yeah.
But
um, So a company that I know that like does tie a lot of them in is like Rockstar. So like it's like some of the stuff like between LA Noire and Red Dead Redemption, like the creators have said like, oh, it's up to interpretation. But
mhm.
for sure, like Grand Theft Auto 4 mentions a lot of the things that happen in the city that Manhunt takes place in.
Yeah.
And then I know Manhunt and Bully are connected to each other. I forgot how, but
Wow,
like,
I didn't know all that.
Yeah,
they're in
Bully
the same.
becomes Manhunt.
And then
Really?
I don't know.
Is he that dude?
So like in Bully, the I should have brought my nose up when I first brought it up. Anyways, no. So in Bully, it's like Manhunt's like a movie thing. Like their characters
Oh.
talk about like, have you seen those Starkweather movies? And that's
Yeah.
and that's the main person in Manhunt.
Dude, I
And
love
then-
that shit.
I'm trying to think. I was like, I want to say there's another Rockstar game that was connected.
The Warriors. Table tennis.
Yeah.
Midnight Club. Midnight Club is Rockstar, right?
It sure is.
Is Hitman a Rockstar?
No.
Who does Hitman?
I think it was IDOS at some point.
So IDOS. So yeah, IDOS.
I don't know.
published it
Well,
before.
Hitman and
It's
Kane and
IO
Lynch.
now, but
Hitman and Kane and Lynch. They're in the
Really?
same.
Hell yeah, baby.
Hmm.
Sounds pretty cool to me. I love Kane and Lynch. I'm the last remaining Kane and Lynch fan on the island, baby.
you can play as Kanan Lynch in that Lara Croft Temple of Osiris game.
That is
Yeah,
true.
apparently in one of the
Confirmed.
Hitman games, he goes to the gun range and Kane and Lynch are there and like talking about stuff.
Okay. That's interesting.
You know, a Kane and Lynch game, please.
Just real quick,
Sleeping
so
Dog.
I had asked in our Discord if anybody like wanted to shout one of these out, and Rez is the only one. He brought up just the Horizon universe, not necessarily being connected to other games, but just those two games, you know. And I don't know much about Horizon, but he seemed to like it quite a bit. And yeah, I don't know. You guys, Ryan, you played Horizon at the very least, right?
Yeah, I platinumed the first one.
What do you think about that game's universe, that franchise's universe?
Well, I mean, I mean, it's I don't know that it like crosses over into anything else. You know, I think
No, but just in general, you know, just the
like
yeah.
what I
It
think of
doesn't
that.
necessarily have to be a
Oh,
crossover, but just
oh,
the
like what do I think of like
yeah.
that? Just that game's world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty cool. I think that one of the best things about Horizon is how how open I think that franchise could be for like stuff outside of what happens with Aloy. Like I think
Yeah.
that there are like a lot of other like different games in the Horizon universe that you could make that are perhaps about different things.
Yeah.
I think overall it's a very interesting world that Aloy is the least interesting part of.
Somebody had brought up and I could be wrong because I haven't played either of those games, but somebody had brought up like that game's interpretation of like Las Vegas being pretty cool.
Yeah, it is actually really cool. So
Yeah.
and Horizon Forbidden West, there's a point at which you go to Las Vegas, and it's basically like large parts of it are like under sand and stuff, and
Mm.
like at some point it's very apparent that like it was underwater.
Or because it's far, far future, right?
Yeah, it's like
So
1,000 years in the future.
yeah.
So, and it's cool because you're walking through Las Vegas and like some of like of course with like any other game like this, like there's always like environmental storytelling with like audio logs and shit. So like finding audio logs and text logs from people from like 1,000 years ago is like really cool. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the best part of Horizon Forbidden West so far, from what I've experienced, is the environment. So
Um, yeah, I think one of them's on PS Plus too. I might be wrong,
yeah,
but
I think the first
I
one. You
The
can
first
get.
one,
so
I
this
think.
this this is something I don't know because I haven't played either game. But I feel like Ryan, you would be the one. Is Wolfenstein and Doom? Apparently, the Doom guy and BJ Blazkowicz are related somehow.
Not all that.
That's what I read. I read this thread on Reddit like 3 years ago that said it. That said that was the case, and like they did this whole like fucking I can't remember. Like there was this like really convoluted like timeline that they plotted out that like explained like how those two dudes are related and like
So, yeah, the developer said that BJ Blazkowicz is the great grandfather of the Doom guy.
I mean that could be true. I'm the
If that's
I
the
mean,
case, that's like the laziest way to do it, right? Because like
yeah.
neither
So,
game references the other.
yeah.
so yeah, there's a lot of those that like I've either heard about or know about. Where
Yeah.
like some people say that like BioShock and I want to say I forget which franchise I was, but like
System
BioShock and
Shock.
no, I want to say it was like I almost want to say it's Gone Home, but like so essentially like the book that there's like a book that appears a lot in BioShock, like the first one that appears in another game. So people are saying that they're related. I'm like that, but that's just like a book
I mean,
that
I'll
exists.
say this: Steve Gaynor wrote Gone Home, and he also wrote Minerva's Den. But like, that's the only tie I know between those two series.
Yeah, I can't remember any book, but I haven't played.
Oh, sorry, it's Firewatch. Firewatch.
Oh.
It's the book The Accidental Savior.
Oh, Firewatch and Gone Home.
No, Firewatch and BioShock both
see.
have the book The Accidental Savior in it.
Okay.
And that like and then when people are
Yeah.
like, oh, does that mean that they're same universe? It's
No.
another one the developers are like, it's open to interpretation.
There's
but
no
like,
interpretation there. I've played both of those games to completion. There's no.
I feel like see that's the thing that like I was just talking about this the other day, right? Where it's really easy to like take two apparently disparate things
Yeah.
and then like imply that they share the universe, the same
Yeah.
universe. Like, I mean, they're both on the planet Earth, so you know who knows. It's just like, okay.
So
See, I like
Yeah,
more,
so
more
that's what-
direct stuff, dude. Like,
So, like,
one of
and
my
I-
favorites is the Remedy universe, you know? And like you know, Control directly references Alan Wake, and Alan Wake clearly taught at the university from Quantum Break. And like Max Payne is obviously a book series by Alan Wake, you know, like
Yeah.
I like shit like that, but
so
you know, that's very clear though. It's not like well, this book appears in both of these games, so
Yeah,
same universe.
So like, yeah, 'cause that's what I was asking you whenever I started, because some of these I'm like, these arguments for being the same universe I feel like are dumb.
Yeah.
So like the Sims 3 apparently
Here we go.
has a time travel device, and with it, like, there is references to like Mass Effect 3, or not Mass Effect 3, but Mass Effect. Like, there's a shepherd that saves humanity and stuff like that. So people are saying that that's the same universe because it just talks, like, it just references Mass Effect. And at that
Because
point,
it's the same publisher.
yeah, and I'm just saying, like, at that point, like, that's stupid because that's just a reference. That doesn't mean it's like the same thing.
If that right,
That
if we're going
being
off
said-
of that logic, like Katy Perry appears in The Sims, so you know, I guess it's just like
It's real life.
yeah.
We are Sims. But I will say though,
They got Nelly in there, you know, so
I do like that CD Projekt. So CD Projekt Red, there's like, there is a reference from The Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk.
yeah.
And that's like when Ciri is like traveling through worlds. One of the worlds she talks about is like a description of the Cyberpunk world. And
But how do you feel about that when like both of those are licensed games? You know, like they didn't create either of those.
Yeah. That's
You know what
actually
I mean?
a really good. That's a good point because like that Witcher guy, I don't know what his name is, but he was probably like, he wasn't like, wouldn't it be cool if Ciri went to Night City? Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be fun? Like, like there's no way.
That's like if Traveler's Tales, who makes all the Lego licensed games, were like, yeah, these all take place together, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's no different.
Which were like I could. I'm sorry. Like I keep thinking of like a Sims version of a Nelly song. It's making me laugh. But
It is very funny.
But like, I mean, I could see like I could see a way of doing that with like those Traveler's Tale games. Like, this is all in somebody's toy box, which is like, it's like whatever. But
Sure,
like,
sure.
That makes that
Smash Brothers, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but like things that I do think that I think are more well done is like, so in Battlefield Bad Company and Mirror's Edge they both games are franchises like do have references to each other in there.
Uh-huh.
Like in one of the Battlefield games, like you're in an elevator that's like predominantly shown in the first one. And then also in Mirror's Edge, you come across like an audio recording of like the Bad Company like gang like arguing and bickering. And I think that's really cool because those are very different games with
Sure.
very different characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that both franchises do it at some point, I think is, yeah, I like.
Yeah. Also, Bad Company is like the best of the Battlefield games, hands down. But like, so when you brought this up, Tom, one of the things that immediately popped into my head was so in Assassin's Creed Origins, there is a point at which so when you're out of the Animus, you're playing as Layla Hassan. You look at Layla's computer, and there's a file in there about Aiden Pierce.
Oh no.
Yeah, about Aiden Pierce for Watch Dogs 1. And there's like
He's back.
Yeah. And like there's like a picture like a surveillance photo of him and like one of her files, and it's just like
and I'm pretty sure one of the Watch Dogs games references Assassin's Creed as well.
I don't remember. Probably.
I mean, I haven't played any of them. I just remember reading some blurb. But
So yeah, by hacking one of the computers, they talk about the Bloom Corporation,
Okay, yeah, that's
which is
that's
which is
one of Watch
the
Dogs.
Yeah.
which is the like antagonist corporation.
Yeah.
From what I was reading, and there's like another thing that also like talks about the like system that they put people in so they can like time travel to their like
Oh, the
ancestors
Animus?
or whatever. Yeah. So it's like a reference on there, but yeah. So those are like that's for sure like both confirmed in the same universe,
Um,
Oh.
which is interesting.
let me ask you this. So, what do you guys think of like what would you call this? So, Tom, do you remember? You might not remember this, but do you remember in The Last of Us Part 1, at some point you're in a toy store and there is an Uncharted board game?
Yeah. And even in Uncharted 3, there's the newspaper clipping that references the
Yeah.
cordyceps thing.
Which
I think that's just a nod, right? Like Uncharted has had Jack and Daxter eggs in it for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're not in the same universe.
Sure.
You know, like
Or are they?
I think they're just making a nod to their previous games. I think that's all that is.
Well, I think the
You know?
developers came out with that one saying that it was intentional, because I think the newspaper clipping was obviously to get hype for their new game.
Well, because I guess I'm just wondering, like, so there's two pieces of fiction taking place in the same universe, right? But like,
Mhm.
what if in one of those pieces of fiction, the other is fiction within that fiction, right?
Right.
Like, because that implies that
Holy manhunt thing.
yeah, so that implies that like in The Last of Us, like Uncharted is not
A
real.
game.
Is a
Right.
game, right? So
Right.
um,
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean, right? How can both be true?
yeah.
Right? Like I think it's just them making a nod to their other games. Just like fucking Nathan Drake playing fucking Crash Bandicoot in the newest Uncharted, you know? Like
Therefore, he's set in the real world, because we have Crash Bandicoot, same universe.
sure.
So
Sure.
I have a follow-up question though, because like I had something I want to ask after that. So at some point in The Last of Us Part 2, you sneak up on a bad guy playing a PS Vita, and on that PS Vita, and I'm not about to say that they're in the same universe. So, but on that PS Vita, they're playing Hotline Miami.
Mhm.
So Hotline Miami is a game that exists in our world. So is The
Okay.
Last of Us 2 in our universe?
I mean, clearly it's supposed to take place in our universe.
Thank you.
But like,
Thank
you know, you can't. It can't be like there's to me there's a difference between Easter eggs and tying games together in the same universe. You know,
Yeah.
I would
right? Like
'cause,
that's those are clearly just nods. It's like the thing in the new God of War, like them talking about Kratos being in PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah.
Does that mean that fucking Fat Princess and Parappa the Rappa take place in the same fucking universe as God of War? You know?
Yes.
Like no,
Yes.
it doesn't.
Oh, he
Yes.
said- Tom says no. Tom says no.
Oh shit. So but I will but like I think one of the kind of best examples of two games being like different but also like from the same universe is obviously like Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. A lot of people think
Yeah.
they do like a lot of people don't even realize that they're two different games, especially since Sony bundled them forever.
Well, Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, all three of them clearly are set in the same universe. You know?
No.
And yeah, I mean, that's obviously one of my favorites. But yeah, I mean, those are clearly in the same universe.
Do you
There's
think
no,
do you think
there's
they-
no doubt about it. You know?
Do you think the fact that, or I guess my question is, who do you think probably utilizes the universe they're in best within those games, or how would you compare them as far as like they go like with each other? Because I haven't played any of the three.
Yeah, I mean, it's just loose ties, right? They take place within the same universe, presumably on the same planet, but like, it doesn't matter. They all stand on their own.
Yeah.
You know, it's things like clothing and architecture and, you know, horned little boys and things like that. You know, the
Yeah,
color
boys.
blue. You know, like yeah, like they are clearly connected, but they don't need to be. They stand on their own.
So would you say that does it need to serve a purpose that games share the same universe. If they're never going to like really intermingle those things, if it's just for the sake of having them set in the same place, is that enough?
For me, it's enough.
Yeah.
Because these games are intended to be very minimalist by nature. You know, like they are. There's so little dialogue across all three of those games. Like, you know, the story in all three of those is yours to interpret. Like, it just doesn't matter.
Do you feel like it enhances it for you though, like knowing that they all take place in the same universe?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me happy whenever he comes out with a new game, and I can see like, you know, oh, weird. These weird fucking circle structures are also in the Shadow of the Colossus, right? Yeah. Or hey, there's that weird shade of blue again. You know, like yeah. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, it does, like I said, it doesn't really matter.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, how do you guys feel about? Sorry, one second.
Bless you.
So like franchises that exist that people try to put like a timeline to, like Legend of Zelda.
I love it.
People try to make it like shit. One lifetime worth of like timeline, and also with Mario games too.
Mario games, I don't give a shit about. No timeline, you know. Zelda, I really, really gave a shit about the Zelda timeline, and I bought Hyrule Historia.
Why are you using past tense?
Because I bought Hyrule Historia like on launch of that shit because I cared so much about the Zelda timeline, and then Nintendo was like, we know we said this is official, but we're gonna switch these around here. So clearly they're just making it up as they go along, you know? Which, like, I think most people knew all along, but, like, for them to be that forward about it and be like, no, we changed our minds, it's this instead, you know? But, like, I really do like that. Like, I love the Zelda timeline, I love the Metal Gear timeline, like, all that shit is fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also find it really interesting to see which Final Fantasy games, like the numbered ones specifically, they say are in the same universe, because I think it's like
all that what is it, Fabiola Crystallis, whatever.
Fabiola Crystallis.
Yeah, all the fucking Crystal games, right? Those are all connected in some way, aren't they?
Yeah.
And doesn't that include 14?
Maybe. I don't know.
I cannot tell you off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like 7 and 10 too, like are connected somehow. I've like read theories about Final Fantasy 9 and 10. Like, I don't know, like I feel like with any combination of Final Fantasy games, there is a theory about how they're actually in the same universe.
Well, you see, Janae, in Chocobos. Kingdom Hearts, you know.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. No, I do like. So Square Enix obviously has a particular art style that they tend to go for with all of their games. They like, it's just you see a game that's like done by them, you're like, that's a Square Enix-esque game. Sorry, I just completely blanked out on my thought.
That's okay.
I
think like clearly some of them are connected, right? Like 13 and 15, even though the connections might be loose, like and Type 0, right? The connections to those games might be loose, but like they are there. Those games were intended as a trilogy of games, you know? But like there's so many of them that like it really seems like people are stretching, like, oh well, there's chocobos and everything, and there's Sid, and like, you know, so like clearly, you know, I don't know.
They reuse other words like Shinra and stuff like that too, so it's like, where do you stop with it?
I don't know. I feel like it makes the idea with Final Fantasy. I feel like the idea of them being disparate universes is actually kind of more cool to me. Because I think that like the idea of all these self-contained worlds in each of these games is like, that seems more cool to me than any number of them being connected to one another.
I think them being connected could be cool. Just it depends on the execution, you know.
Yeah.
For a franchise that's that old, it's rare
Yeah.
for there to be a continuous story that is well told, you know?
Especially when like isn't like the basis of that franchise that like it wasn't no one anticipated that it would be going on for this long.
Correct. Final Fantasy was
So
intended to be the last game, yeah.
and then like 30 something years later here we are like
Yeah.
trying these games together. So I don't know, man. But Final Fantasy 16 looks great, so
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't even get the Metal Gear storyline, but
Honestly,
but all of his games, like I know, like aren't all of like Hideo Kojima's games like related somehow? Whether some like have
He,
like it was like Silent Hill, Metal
yeah.
Gear, and another franchise like.
It's not that they're necessarily all connected. It's that he puts a lot of cryptic messages in his games, especially his later games.
yeah.
Like PT does talk about his not fantastic relationship with Konami, as does Death Stranding,
Sure.
But is Death Stranding and Metal Gear connected? Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Splinter Cell, like the main protagonist of that, and
Sam
then
Fisher.
Solid Snake, Sam Fisher, Snake, they make references to each other in multiple games.
Yeah.
Would you consider that like actually in the same universe?
No, it's an Easter egg thing because they were both prominent stealth games.
They were like the stealth games for a while. So
Yeah.
I think it definitely makes sense. It's kind of like how you remember. Do you guys remember in the late '90s when Crash Bandicoot was always harassing Mario?
Yeah,
It's kind of like that.
it's like how in Duke Nukem you can find a dead Doom guy. Like those don't take place in the same universe. They're just Apogee or 3D Realms being assholes. That's all that is.
It's just like I think that like one of the things that kind of spawns a lot of this speculation with a lot of these franchises is people taking a developer's acknowledgement of other IPs as like tacit evidence that that these two things share the same universe. It's like no, it's just it's just people acknowledging that this other thing exists, and it doesn't.
Yeah, because like
more than that.
Like if that was the case, right? Like Guacamelee is in the same universe as fucking Castle Crashers and Mario Brothers and like Metroid. Zelda and Metroid, right? Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think that like, which is kind of a little bit why the whole like it's up to your interpretation thing kind of bugs me, because I'm just like, is it or not, dude? Like as the person who made this thing, whether or not that's the case.
Well, Nintendo didn't know until Hyrule Historia.
That's true.
And then they knew suddenly, and then they didn't know again, So like,
but I also like I can see why, especially on some of these, like the Firewatch BioShock one or whatever. Like if they say it's like up to your interpretation, if you don't like it, then in your interpretation, it's not the same.
Right.
But if it does make someone else happy, it's just the easy way to like please the largest amount of people.
Well, and I like Easter eggs in games, like. All that shit in Guacamelee made me laugh.
Yeah,
I didn't take any of it serious, but like it was all fun. Seeing fucking Lara Croft and Duke Nukem is like entertaining, at least for the time. But it's it's just a reference. That's all it is.
Yeah, but I think that honestly, one of the ones that like that really like stuck out to me specifically because I haven't played one of these three games is that like thinking about what's that game called? No More Heroes and Let It Die and Deathverse Let It Die, right? So clearly Let It Die and Deathverse are in the same deal, right? And
right.
No one has confirmed to me that these things share a universe or anything. But my whole thing is that the thing that ties them all together is the existence of the Death Drive gaming console and how that exists in all three properties. So I took that to mean, because here's the thing is that like Let It Die is it's kind of implied that Let It Die is a simulation that exists within as a game on the Death Drive.
Mhm.
And I know that the Death Drive is also something that exists in No More Heroes. That's about 80% of my knowledge about No More Heroes.
Right.
But like that, I do know that those things that it exists there. So like my brain interpreted that as the possibility of those things existing in the same place, regardless of how disparate those things are from one another.
Right. And with like Suda being a part of it and Grasshopper in general, right? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be almost harder to believe that they weren't part of the same universe.
Sure.
I know he likes to reference a lot of other games, right? Like Travis Strikes Back references a ton of fucking games, but those are their games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So, a game series that I think has been kind of interesting is the Xeno franchise. Because like Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade, Chronicles, like all of that, like all being in the same universe does make sense. Like they do change some stuff when it's like because like some of the spiritual successors, like they change kind of what happened or whatever. And it is kind of similar to that Final Fantasy, like keeping the same names for stuff, but it's different. But even then, like a lot of the same rules and stuff like do travel over, like how certain things work. So I think like as a franchise in general, like sharing a same universe, even if it isn't exactly the same like timeline, like how Final Fantasy is, I do feel like it's more cohesive than the other games.
But I feel like they contradict themselves a lot, and this is coming from somebody who's only played a couple of them, like the newest Xenoblade Chronicles, isn't it like a thing where like people only live X amount of years? Like there's an expiration date on people.
10 years.
Which is like
everybody lives to be 10 years old.
like what is that?
I haven't played the new one.
Yeah, but no, and neither have I. And maybe they do a fantastic job of explaining it.
From what I've played so far, I'm not understanding why that's the case. I just know,
and why now and not before?
Yeah, so I'm just all I know is that you guys are all a bunch of like really fucking mature 8 and 9-year-olds like doing this thing. Like that's all I know. That's all I've understood so far. So
yeah.
But
I mean, like I said, I've not played a lot of those games, so.
Also,
I think my favorite
Final Fight.
Yeah, I was about to say Street Fighter, Final Fight, Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, like all clearly share a universe.
Sure.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's you throw Captain Commando in there,
And what's funny is that because of the wild shit that people can do in Street Fighter, that it's not at all a stretch that there are Draculas and Bat people and Sasquatches running around, right? And like
the weird thing is, so I always think of Ken's Alpha 2 stage or Alpha 3 stage. I think it's Alpha 2 stage, where he's got like a party going on, right? And like Dimitri's back there, and Morgan's back there, and Captain Commando's back there, and Felicia's back there. But then like the two fools from AVP are back there.
Yeah,
like
that AVP fucking rule. So is AVP in Street Fighter?
I don't know, dude.
So Xenomorphs exist in Street Fighter?
I mean, I think in the Capcom version, of AVP exists, right? Like, I don't think fucking Ellen Ripley exists with Ryu.
No, that's true. But there is a version of Xenomorphs, a version of Predator, and a version.
I think you have to count it, right?
Yeah, you have to. So
I mean, even their Butch, he looks completely different,
So,
but like
it's him. That's Dutch. 100%.
Dutch. There you go. Yeah. Like
100%.
It's weird.
So,
it's weird, but like it goes past just background appearances. Like those characters interact with each other in the stories of those games.
Yeah.
So like
Of course, we don't count things like that are like those verses. Dealies, right?
No, but even not looking at those, even just looking at the mainline games, those characters interact with each other,
Yeah.
So
sure would be cool if Wolverine were there, though.
Sure.
Apparently, the main, like a main character from the a Dino Crisis game is in an Ace Attorney game, and they like interact and talk to each other. And there's been multiple crossovers between those two franchises, which I find real funny.
Which Ace Attorney? I don't know which Ace Attorney game that would be, but like, with like Project X Zone had like, I mean, that was just a shit ton of Capcom franchise and Namco as well. Like both of those franchises together, both of those publishers games together. Does that confirm anything? I don't really know. I mean, if is Negan canon to Tekken? Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Akuma is canon to Tekken, right? Like, Akuma is part of that story.
Yes,
but like,
if Negan, anybody who appears on the stage of the Iron Fist tournament is canonically a Tekken character. So that includes Akuma, Negan, Noctis. I don't know any other guest characters, but all those guys, they're canonically Tekken characters.
No.
Geese Howard.
Because Tekken has always thrown in random guest characters that are not part of the story.
God.
Akuma is part of the story,
Yeah. He killed Heihachi's wife, I bet.
I misspoke. It's so Dino Crisis is canonically a part of Ace Attorney franchise.
Is he defending one of them dinosaurs?
But three characters from the Dino Crisis games show up in the Ace Attorney anime in season 2.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
I've seen that anime, but I've only seen the first season of that anime, which does follow the first game pretty closely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So season 2, the characters Rick, Regina, and Gale, they're from Dino Crisis. If you ever watch it.
I know Regina's the main lady in Dino Crisis.
Yes, she is.
She's got that red hair.
That short red hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So, I have questions. I need to know why I need to know like what's going on, because if Regina exists, right, then dinosaurs also exist. Right?
Yes.
So, are the dinosaurs there in some capacity? We're not going to know because they're not going to answer that. But I have to know whether or not there are dinosaurs walking around in the world of Phoenix Wright.
See, I think it has more weird implications for the Dino Crisis universe, because like Phoenix Wright has always had some weird ass cameos and crossovers and all that shit, right? Like fucking Professor Layton and Luke, like they're part of that, like yeah. It doesn't though,
but they're detectives. They're not dinosaurs. They're at least people with a profession.
Dinosaurs are from a different time too.
Yeah.
So time travel in Ace Attorney confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take my check, Mr. Spielberg.
But yeah, I don't think I didn't have any more written down in my notes.
Yeah.
Prey and Prey are two different universes.
I'm sorry, Prey and Prey?
Yeah, Prey and Prey.
Yeah, but like, we'll talk about it another time, but like, I really, or like, how people are pissed that like they used the name Prey for that new one? I'm like, there's definitely some very similar things about those games. Sure. While they are wildly different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I brought up with Ryan Saints Row and Agents of Mayhem, which is funny to me, if only because like both of those franchises kind of went down the toilet.
Saints Row, Agents of Mayhem, Red Faction.
Yeah, I did read about that.
So yeah.
The Red Faction universe. What a funny thing to think about.
Yeah, like, man, Mars is real fucked up.
The Ridge Racer universe, like, that's so fucking, like, because, you got Pac-Man and Dig Dug in that shit.
Like, wait, so in the universe of Ridge Racer, are Pac-Man and Dig Dug actual living entities that exist in the world?
It's hard to say, right? Sometimes random Namco characters will be on vehicles, right?
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, well, for some reason they just decorate the cars with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like loading screens will be those games.
Yeah.
Right? But then like sometimes player avatars are like fucking Dig Dug guy, you know? So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
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 The Donkey Kong Mario shared universe has always been very interesting to me. If only for the fact that like Mario has to be the most successful spin-off of anything ever, you know?
So they're not beefing no more, like the Mario and Donkey Kong beefing squashed, or what?
I mean, I don't really know, but like, yeah, just the fact that Mario
now
comes
passed the
from
vibe
Donkey
check.
Kong
Yeah.
and not the other way around, you know? It's just very funny to me that their flagship
Could you
IP
imagine?
is a spin-off.
Could you imagine a world where Donkey Kong is as ubiquitous, if more ubiquitous than Mario?
Right?
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that. I like Mario, but
yeah. I mean, I feel like Donkey Kong is the more interesting, like choice here, right?
Isn't like Donkey Kong? Isn't it somehow connected to Banjo-Kazooie too? Or did they just like appear
only in that Rare developed some Donkey Kong games as well as some Banjo games?
Yeah, they maintain control of the Kremlings.
Like Banjo is playable in Diddy Kong Racing. So there's that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that guy's a fucking menace.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our show this week. If we are found on most podcast apps, if you want to, check out another one besides the one you're listening to us on, we have a Discord that will be linked. We also are on the YouTube if you want to see our faces. And bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.